for being here. You've heard a lot about the different technology and setting up your customer journeys and things like that, but what we haven't really talked about is what is the customer journey, how does it relate to customer experience, and what's the difference between the two. So my name is Jenny Beadle. I've been with the Micrologic team for about a year. Prior to that, I was a client of Micrologic on the operations side, so I am hoping to be able to offer a little bit of both perspectives to you guys today. So customer journey versus customer experience. They are related, but not the same. Say your customer experience is how they feel when they think about your brand, when they come to your wash, when they interact with your brand. The customer journey is actually a map of all those different experiences. And with the technology that's available to us today, we can actually intentionally create touch points for that journey, right? We can intentionally create those different experiences by mapping the customer journey. Now, show of hands, how many of you have ever actually sat down on paper and mapped the entire customer journey of your wash? Good. All right, so we have a handful, yep. Today, you're gonna actually get a document that is a blueprint to help you go through that process with your team, okay? We're gonna talk about what it is first, and then you'll get a document towards the end, a downloadable PDF that you can take back to your teams, and you can actually begin this process. So the customer experience and the customer journey are based on the most highly technologically advanced piece of equipment that every single one of us has in our businesses. There's one piece of equipment that is the most advanced technology on the planet. And I'm wondering if you're wondering what I am or thinking about what that might be, right? The brain, the human, Oh, I pushed the wrong button, Eddie. No, I didn't. The human brain. Good job, team. We all have one. Well, that's debatable, but that's beside the point, right? The human brain has 86 billion neurons in it, okay? Each with a capacity for 10,000 connections. And that translates to about 100 trillion different touch points. Okay? And the brain will then take all this information, and over time it decides what to keep, what to store, and what to discard. That's why sometimes you can remember certain points of an experience, but you don't remember all of it. There's only certain parts that you remember, right? To put it in technology terms, the brain, the human brain, can actually store 2.5 million gigabytes of information. Okay? Now, over a lifetime, that's actually not very much, so it does have to discard some things that you don't need. Okay? So I want everybody to close your eyes. I told you I was going to try to keep you awake, so this is interactive. Everybody close your eyes. I'm waiting. I will patiently wait. Close your eyes. Okay. So I want you to notice the things that pop into your mind when I say these next few words. Okay? I want you to recognize everything that happens in your brain when I say the next few words. And the next few words are the best customer experience you have ever had as a customer. All right, now open your eyes. How many people had some factual information pop into your head? How many people had emotional information, like feelings, pop into your head? Yeah, a few more? Okay. So the customer experience has a lot to do with how we interpret information and how we feel about what's happening. So I'm gonna give you a short story about my version of this, right? I moved to Tampa Bay, gosh, when did I move there? In 2015. And I'm a Jeeper. I have this awesome fluorescent orange, jacked up Jeep Wrangler. It's my jam. Top down, doors off, the whole deal, right? It's like the love of my life. And I am driving through this super busy intersection one day in July where it's blazing hot outside. I'm on my way to a board meeting, so I'm in a suit and the doors are off, which is questionable judgment, right? And I break down in the middle of the intersection and I don't know what's wrong with the Jeep, okay? So first of all, I have this anxiety going on because there's these cars whizzing by and they're blowing the horns at me and I'm like, no one actually would want to be in this situation, so there's no reason for you to honk at me. I'm aware that I'm in the way. Okay? There's nothing I can do about it. There's like smoke coming out of the engine. I don't know what's wrong, right? So there's emotion there, right? Then I reach for my phone to call my dad, right? I'm daddy's girl. I'm calling dad. And then I have the horrible realization that we lost my dad a few years ago, and he's not going to answer the phone. And so there's this other layer of feeling that comes into it, right? So then I decide, all right, well, I don't know what to do. I can't call Dad. I have to adult now. This is a terrible realization. So I Google Jeep dealer, right? Because my dad was a stickler. He's like, you always take it to the dealership, blah, blah, blah. I had just moved to Tampa. I didn't know where the closest dealership was. So I Google it, right? And there's a couple that pop up, and I click on the one that's closest, and it sends me to a phone, right? I click on call. And Mr. Bill Perry at Fitzgerald Countryside Jeep answers the phone. And he's super calm, and I'm pretty sure he can tell, like, I'm a hot mess. I'm not crying, but I'm not calm, right? And he's like, how can we help you? What is wrong? And I was like, the whole thing, right? And he's like, where are you? And I said, okay, I'm at this intersection in this place, right, in Clearwater. And he's like, where are you trying to go? And I was like, to a board meeting. And he was like, okay, give me 15 minutes, we'll be there. 15 minutes later, a tow truck rolls up and a black SUV rolls up. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing? And the tow truck driver gets out and he, hey, my name is, I don't remember his name. See, information your brain doesn't store. And he's like, okay, I'll take care of this, whatever, like go talk to the guy in the black SUV. Guy in the black SUV comes over. He's like, grab your stuff, get in the car. I'm like, where are we going? He's like, I'm taking you to work. Bill said you had a really important meeting that you need to make it to, and I'm going to take you to work, and then I'll come back and get you. And I was like, oh, great. That sounds fantastic. So I get in the black SUV. He takes me to the board meeting. The board meeting was a hot mess, too, so this was just not my day, just in general. So I'm at the board meeting. Miguel, I never do this in meetings at Micrologic. I was in the board meeting, like, on Fitzgerald's website looking for a new Jeep, right? Because there's no way in heck that this Jeep is going to survive this experience, nor am I switching vehicles. I am driving a Jeep. Brand loyalty. We're going to talk about that today. So they come and get me, like I call Bill afterwards, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm done with my meeting, can you come get me? And he's like, he's already in the parking lot. Like, he's outside, just walk outside, like get back in the SUV. I get in the SUV, the guy hands me coffee. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I love you. Like, I love you people, right? So he hands me a cup of coffee, we go back to the dealership, and Mr. Bill is explaining, I have come to call him Mr. Bill, obviously, I only take the Jeep to Mr. Bill now, 10 years later. But Mr. Bill is explaining what's wrong with the Jeep. I don't know anything about engines. I know a lot about like ceramic and graphene and things like that, but like the engine of the Jeep, I don't know anything about. And he's like, all right, well, you just need a couple of rockers and this and that and whatever. And I'm like, I don't speak English, please. And he was like, how'd your meeting go? And I said, oh, it was kind of a hot mess. He was like, I know. I was like, how do you know that? And he goes, because you were on our website looking for a new Jeep. How did you know that? And he was like, well, your name, your information popped into our CRM, and the sales department knew that your Jeep was here, so they came back and told me what was going through your head. And I'm like, whoa. Like, how many people have worked in a place where, like, the departments are, like, super siloed, and that piece of connection or conversation would have never happened, right? Been there, done that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you know all these things? So, end of the story, he's like, you know what, $1,200 will fix this problem, and your Jeep will run for another 5 years. And I'm talking like this thing's covered in surf stickers. There's no part of me that wants to get rid of this Jeep, right? And my dad loved it, so that's a big deal. And I'm like, oh, $1,200, right? Because I was about to drop 50 grand on a new one. And he was like, $1,200. You'll be fine. Okay, Mr. Bill, I'm going to trust you, Mr. Bill. That's great. Jeep ran for another 5 years, and then the other side had to be done. But that's okay, right? So he got me 5 more years on my Jeep. He brought me coffee. He took me to work. He picked me up. The tow truck driver was amazing. Everybody was amazing, right? And it all had to start with that one point of just becoming aware of the brand, okay? In my particular situation, I became aware of the brand through Google because I was in a situation, all right? We call it situationship. That's what I was in, okay? So when you think about that experience, then you go back and think about your brain, there are certain parts of an experience that your brain will store and remember, okay? And those things are right here. So emotional highs and lows, right? My brain remembers all the emotional highs and lows of that experience, okay? It's also going to remember novelty and surprise. So the coffee, taking me to and from work, right? The fact that the sales department and the service department talk to each other. Those were all surprises to me. My brain remembers them, okay? The peak and the ending. I don't know that there was necessarily a peak or an ending in this particular instance, but I'm a diehard football fan, so I'm gonna give you a different example. And I apologize in advance if there's any Alabama fans in here. There was a year, I wanna say it was like 2012, somewhere in there, in the Iron Bowl, right? Alabama was going to win the game. It was that era when Alabama always wins the game and everybody's annoyed by it. And they missed the field goal. And there's an Auburn player in the end zone who catches it, runs it all the way back. There's 0 time on the clock. Auburn wins the Iron Bowl, and like that's an iconic moment in college sports. Like it is constantly, it's on Sports Center every year, right around playoff time, right around the bowl games, all that stuff. So peak and ending. I don't remember the rest of the game, but I remember that. Right? Vivid sensory details. So, Gary, I just showed you the videos from the Bucks game the other night, right? So they did the NHL, like our Tampa Bay Lightning, they did the stadium series in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stadium. So I was there Sunday night, it was amazing. And that sensory, like it's just overload. There's lights and there's sounds and there's all kinds of things. Your brain's gonna remember those sorts of things, okay? So when you're thinking about your customers, what are the things that they're gonna remember, right? And last but not least, personal connection. So no matter how much we talk about technology and how to intentionally design the experience, you also cannot forget the human connection. Okay, there's still a piece of that that is important. Now, it can be based on generations, how much of it they want, right? But there's still a personal connection in everything, okay? So, what does that all mean? It means experience equals memories. And what does that mean for us? Specifically, customer experience is going to equal memories about your car wash. So what is that experience? And how are you intentionally mapping that journey to create that experience so that their memories are positive ones like I have about Mr. Bill? I will never take my Jeep anywhere else. And I live in Tampa, he's in Clearwater, it's a long drive, that same intersection I gotta go through every time, right? But I'm not taking it anywhere else because Mr. Bill will always take care of me, okay? All right, so in today's market, the winners can't compete just on price. And you guys all have that, show me, you guys all have that dude in your market that just like races to the bottom, right? Like as cheap as he can possibly be, right? That's not what we're looking for. That's not an experience. Yes, price is important, but speed and experience are far more important. Okay, your customers are looking for speed. They're busy. They have a lot going on, right? They're looking for an experience. They're looking for something that makes them feel good. Okay, and sometimes when I'm training team members, like operationally, and I'm like, oh, it's an experience. And they're like, it's a car wash. I'm like, it's still an experience. Like, still an experience. Like, get in the car. We're driving through the tunnel. Like, let's go, right? And we take them through the whole process because they've got to know what it feels like, okay? Every interaction is an opportunity. So if I go back to my example, that first interaction was Google, right? So when I clicked on Fitzgerald, their Google profile popped up. There were a couple of pictures, and there was like a 4.8 star rating. Right? Now, I wasn't doing a deep dive of information like a lot of consumers do. I was desperate, right? So I clicked on it, and I clicked on the button that says call, right? So like, when was the last time you checked to make sure that your Google profile, when you click on the call button, actually calls your business? Like, have we thought about that recently, right? So like, that was my first interaction, okay? Then the next interaction is Mr. Bill picks up the phone, and he's super calm, and he's super professional, he's helpful. And then the tow truck guy was amazing, and the black SUV guy was amazing. And the whole experience, every single interaction was an opportunity for them to lose my business or gain it forever, okay? And how are you impacting every single opportunity like that? How are you optimizing those opportunities in your customer experience every day? And it starts before they ever come on your site. And we're gonna talk through all 5 stages of it, okay? Technology enabling the intentional design of this experience. Okay, we talked a lot, Miguel shared quite a bit with you guys about what's available. Now we're gonna talk about how to actually implement, right? Because it's a lot to learn, you take in all the information, but then you actually have to go back to your wash and implement, and that's why you'll have a document at the end of the day to figure that out, okay? Last but not least, data, okay? I'm a huge data nerd. I love looking at the numbers. I love figuring out like what's working, what's not working, why is it working, why is it not working, using the data to make the right decisions, okay? All right, so before we jump into the journey, we're gonna talk about the generations. These are obviously not in order of age, they are in order of who's using your wash and who is most likely to adopt the subscription model. So millennials are now the largest portion of the consumer market, okay? They thrive on personalized and mobile-first experiences. They want fast, they want efficient, they want easy, right? They're also highly likely to be interested in your values. So Miguel was mentioning earlier how our value at Micrologic is our customers, taking care of our customers. So what is your value? What are your core values, and how do you communicate those on a regular basis to the people who are doing business with you? Okay, that's a really important piece of the puzzle, specifically with millennials and Gen Z. Somewhere us boomers and Gen X, we don't really care what you believe in, we just want a quality product, right? Your next one is Gen X. That is a pretty large portion of the population as well, the consumer market. They want fast, they want easy, they want all those things. They're cool with data, or with technology. Sometimes, it depends on the age and where they kind of fell on the bracket. Some of them are super cool with technology, some of them don't love it, but they'll balance it. They have zero tolerance for friction. And those of you that are Gen X in the room, we have zero tolerance for any kind of BS. Right, we just don't have patience for it, okay? Your next one, Gen Z, surprisingly, this is your younger ones, right? This came after the millennials. They're like 20 years old now, which kind of freaked me out, kind of made me feel old, right? So they're driving and they're subscribing to things. Their entire life, Gen Z and millennials, their entire life, everything was a subscription. Netflix, Hulu, all that kind of stuff, right? So they're like, that's okay, subscription, we understand this. Gym memberships, all of it. Okay? And then you got your boomers, still a large population. They want a lot more of the service and the interaction, right? A lot of boomers have adapted technology, and that's a good thing for us, but a lot of them also want that personal touch. So when we talk about the second stage of the customer journey, we definitely want to make sure that there's still a human interaction somewhere along the way, okay? All right, so we like to break it down into 5 distinct stages. You've got the awareness stage. This is when your new customers first become aware of your brand, okay? For me, with Fitzgerald, it was Google, right? Some people, it could be Instagram, could be Facebook, it could be your website, could be a referral. There's a lot of different ways people can become aware of your brand, okay? Second stage is arrival. That's when they actually show up on your site and you have to put your money where your mouth is, okay? Third is transaction. We're gonna lump free washes. If you guys use free washes to get people on your site, we're lumping that into transaction today for the conversation, okay? So that's your membership purchases, your single wash purchases, your gift cards, your free wash codes, like whatever it is that you offer, okay? The largest stage in this process is the post-visit, and you heard Miguel mention it multiple times, right? Like after the customer leaves, what are you doing to build that relationship and get them back, especially if they didn't convert? But also if they did convert, there's a whole different thing you gotta do to keep them, right? And last but not least, brand loyalty, which could also be considered brand advocacy. So anybody in Tampa Bay that ever asks me about my Jeep, or they put ducks on your Jeeps, that's my favorite thing, I always tell them, go to Fitzgerald. I've been to the dude downtown, he's terrible. I've been to the guy over in Brandon, he's terrible. All of them are terrible. Mr. Bill, you have to go there, right? I will forever be an advocate. Until Mr. Bill leaves, then I don't know what's gonna happen. But until then, Mr. Bill's there, and that's what's gonna happen, right? So for those of you who don't love my colors and my emojis, I gave you a different version of this, right? So follow the arrows. So you go awareness, arrival, transaction, your post-visit. I like to describe it as a ladder. Okay, so they're going up the rungs of the ladder at different points. And then when they get to the top rung of that ladder, they move over into loyalty, brand advocacy. That's the goal, okay? That's the touchdown. All right, so we're gonna do them one at a time so we can talk about what those are. By show of hands, how many people in the room have some sort of, what did Eric call it? Digital stamp. I call it digital footprint. He said digital stamp. How many people have that? Website, social media, LinkedIn, something like that. Better be everybody. Yes, everybody. Okay, great. Now keep your hands up for me, please. Pretty please. All right, now, lower your hand if you do not have more than one digital channel. Yeah, everybody. Okay, so everybody's got more than one digital channel, right? You probably have a Google business profile. If you don't, that's why they can't find you, right? If you have a website, that's great. Keep the website. Obviously, you need that. Social media, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got TikTok. There's all kinds of different things. If you are an owner-operator or really any business, you should have a LinkedIn, okay? Find somebody that can do that for you, okay? All of these different channels are ways that people become aware of your brand, okay? And then they interact with you over time. Okay? Second piece, targeted acquisition of the people who become aware through these different channels. Okay? So we're going to use an example. We're going to call her Sarah today. Her name is going to be Sarah, and she's going to go on this journey with us. Okay? So Sarah is going to come into contact with your brand at a, let's see here, what are we gonna do? A coffee shop. She's at a coffee shop with her friend Sophie. And Sophie went to the new car wash that opened down the street last week, right? There was a grand opening event. They had, do I have any Buckeye fans in here? All right, we'll go with the Buckeyes, perfect. All right, so they go to this grand opening event, and the Buckeye cheerleaders are there, and they got all this la-di-da going on, right? And she's like so excited about it. And Sophie's like, oh my God, like I went to this event at this local car wash, and they had the Buckeye cheerleaders there. I love the Buckeyes. And Sarah's like, me too. I love the Buckeyes. I've been needing to get my car washed, right? Now, how many of you guys have ever had that moment where you're like, Google's listening to me? Right? Like you, yeah? Okay. So Google swears they don't listen. They swear that they don't use microphones or audio for this. So what they actually do is what's called behavioral analysis. So Sarah and Sophie have their phones sitting on the table at the car wash next to each other. And Sophie pulls up the Instagram post of the car wash that has the Bucks cheerleaders there, right? And shows it to her. And she's like, look, it was so much fun. Like, you gotta go. It's so cool, right? So then later that day, Sarah is scrolling through her feed or whatever, and it serves her an ad. We're gonna call it Speedy's, for Speedy's car wash, right? It serves her an ad, and she's like, oh my God, Google's listening to me. No, Google saw your phone and Sophie's phone in the same space, and it assumes that you have similar interests. So when Sophie pulled up the Buckeyes thing on her phone, it assumed that maybe Sarah was also interested in it, okay? That's how that works, all right? So now Sarah is like, oh my gosh, I'm clicking on it. Like, Google's listening to me. They have the Buckeyes cheerleader. Like, this is amazing. So she clicks on it. She puts in her name, phone number, and email. It immediately sends her an email and an SMS message, which we can do through WashHub. It immediately sends her a message, hey, here's your free wash code. It's good for 24 hours. Like, make sure you come in. It's going to expire, right? You got to create the FOMO, the urgency, get her in there, okay? But I'm going to tell you my favorite one. I'm really excited. Eddie gave me a laser pointer. This is my favorite thing up here, okay? So in my previous world, before I was with Micrologic, that was my favorite thing to do. So I'm gonna give you a free insider tip. There is an app called BombBomb, B-O-M-B, B-O-M-B, BombBomb. It's a video texting app. And what we did was we took our phone and who was I just talking to about driving? Russell. We were just talking about it. We went through the whole wash, right? Like, here's how you get into the wash. Here's the drive aisle. Here's how the kiosks work. Here's the loader. He's got his little paddle, and this is what you do, and put it in neutral, and here we go through the tunnel, and then we get out in the vac lot, and we're like, okay, we've got the compressed air, we got the vacuums, we got this mat cleaner, like we got all this stuff. Like, we can't wait to see you, right? And we put it in BombBomb. And it generates this little tiny link, and we put that in the text message that goes out when they download or when they put their information in and submit it for a free wash code. So now not only did she get a message that said, hey, Sarah, like, here's your free wash code. It's good for 24 hours. You better come and see us. Then she gets another one immediately after with a video of the actual team on the ground showing her what to expect when she shows up. And BombBomb's like $400 a year. Like, whatever. So we made a whole bunch of videos for each of the different types of stages, right? So like Miguel showed you earlier, when someone buys a membership plan, like, you can trigger this whole series of messaging, right? They need a welcome video, right? Because it's the personal touch. It's not just a text message. It's an actual personal touch. They can see your face. Okay, that's why Instagram these days is nothing but videos of people's faces, right? Because they gotta know you, like you, and trust you. Okay? All right, so I'm not going to read all these to you because you guys are intelligent human beings with a brain, and they're all going to be in your downloadable PDF at the end. But these are just really good examples of things that you can do to personalize the experience before she ever gets on site. Okay? So the next piece of the puzzle is arrival. And this one's my pet peeve as an operator and a trainer. Like, if the physical experience doesn't match what you promised online, that's super irritating, especially for your marketing team and your training team, okay? Because there's an expectation at this point, okay? So basic things that don't include technology. Is your site clean? Are your people in their uniforms? Are their shirts tucked in? Are they covered in grease, or are they nice and clean? Are they smiling, or do they look like they hate their life, right? Like basic customer service pieces upon arrival, right? And then we layer in the pieces of technology that make it even better. Now, we're gonna go back to Sarah. In this particular case with Sarah, LPR is probably not gonna recognize her, right? Because she didn't put her license plate number in. Now, you could put the license plate number on the opt-in form, but that's probably a barrier that you don't want to go through, right? Like, you'll get fewer people. So I wouldn't recommend that. But she's going to show up. LPR is not going to recognize her license plate, but then you can have the kiosk recognize that she's a first-time visitor. She's never been there before, and it can give her, like, a first-time visitor membership promotion or something like that. Right? So you can still use the technology even if she's never been there before. Obviously, with your members, LPR can say, hey, welcome, Josh. Come on back. You know, you're an unlimited member. Or the digital display screens that as you're going into the tunnel, right? You can put messaging on there that's specific to the person that just came through the pay station. All right? We are looking for frictionless, right? Eric talked a lot about that earlier. And these are all the different ways that we can do that. So speed, accuracy, frictionless, that's what we're trying to intentionally design. And these are some of the ways that you can do that, okay? Clear signage, I can't even tell you how important that is. So in my first car wash, several years ago, I remember that we built our very first wash, and the signage was like a hot mess, right? Nobody could figure out how to get in, how to leave, that's actually why we ended up making the video, because nobody knew how to get into the wash or where to go, or like we had cars almost running into each other. It was a whole hot mess. So that's why we made the video. But what that tells us is you definitely have to have that part of it in addition to the technology, right? How many of you knew that you could do Apple Pay and Google Pay for memberships? Okay, so we have a handful, right? So we know we can do it for single washes, right? Like your tap to pay. You can also do it for memberships. So if you didn't know that, or if you don't have that set up yet, I would recommend that you reach out to your account manager to help you figure out what steps your wash needs to take to get that going. Because your generations that we just talked about, definitely Gen X, or your millennials and your Gen Z are looking for that. Right? I don't use Apple Pay or Google Pay. I'm Gen X. I don't really care, like whatever. But it also opens me because I have a membership, right? So I don't have to worry about that. But that's something you should look into because that's the direction the world is moving, okay? So again, lots of different examples of how you can do this. Another one I love is the tablet. Oops, wrong button. I'm really bad with this thing, Eddie. Another one that I love is the tablets, okay? So Chick-fil-A, think Chick-fil-A at dinner time when there's like the line wrapped around the street block, you know, and they get the little guys out there with the tablets and like just running people through. That's something, if you have a high volume wash, that's like irreplaceable. Like you've got to do that, right? So consider that as well as you're moving through this whole like creating a frictionless situation for your people, okay? All right, so transaction. You can actually make the transaction process easier with all the technology that we have, but you can also make it intuitive, okay? And what I mean by that is, for example, I just gave you Sarah, right? She pulls up, LPR recognizes she's never been here before. So she's never been here before. She's a first-time visitor. We're going to give her a special promotion, right? It can also recognize, for example, like how many people have trouble getting your team members to sell a la carte items or upgrades? Like that was my biggest pain point, right? I could not get them to upgrade people to like ceramic or add wax today or whatever, right? So the kiosk can actually do it for you. So if a retail customer chooses a mid-grade or basic wash, it can actually say, would you like to add ceramic today? Even more than that, it can say, there's snow predicted this weekend. Would you like to add some salt protection to your car? Right? So we don't have that problem, knock on wood. I think there was some snow in Tampa on Monday, but that's the level of intuitiveness that you can actually set up, okay? And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You just have to go through the process and spend the time of sitting down and mapping the journey, okay? And mapping the journey is the part that is the hardest. Like, once you map it out and you have that bullet list of things you need to do, that's when you just bring it back and say, hey, this is what we want to implement. This is what we're doing. Okay, and then there's obviously steps to get that done, but this is an intentional design of this journey, okay? All right, now your post-visit. Let's say Sarah takes advantage of the first-time visitor membership promotion and she converts, which is hard to do when they have a free wash code, right? Like they're expecting to pay nothing and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'll sign up for a membership. This sounds great, right? And this is at the kiosk. This is before she's even had the experience of going through the wash. Okay, so she takes the first-time visitor promo, and she says, yeah, I'll sign up for a subscription. My friend goes here, and you're a Buckeyes fan, and like, we're friends. This is great, okay? So she takes advantage of it, and then she gets an email that, with your video link from BombBomb, right? She gets an email that's like, welcome to your membership, like, welcome to the club. We would like you to do these 5 things. Here's the top 5 things to do with your new membership. Here's some coupon codes you can send to a friend. Right? Refer your friends and family. Here's a link to download our app. Like, you definitely want to have our app. Here is the next upcoming event that we have coming up. Whatever it is, whatever those things are that you want them to know about your wash, they get an email and a text message. Hey, check this out, right? That's the immediate after they join, right? And then maybe a couple of days later, there's a different text that goes out. And then 10, 15, even 30 days, like, how are you enjoying your membership? This is how we start to build the relationship and we build retention, okay? Because the churn is the part that'll kill you, and obviously, we have technology that can help save some of that, but inevitably, you're gonna have some people that fall off, and it's less likely to happen if you have a relationship with them. It's also less likely to impact the experience that your customers and your team members have in the event that there's a problem or something goes wrong. Okay, if that customer, like, if I ever go to Fitzgerald and something doesn't quite go right, I have such an amazing relationship with them that I'm going to give them some grace, right? We're all human, we're all running a business, and it's never going to be perfect, okay? So when they have that relationship with you, you can actually save a lot of those memberships or a lot of those poor experiences that might have hindered you in the past. Okay, some of the other examples that we can use. All right, thank you text minutes after joining. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. A little tip on this one that we used to do as well. When you send the thank you text after they visit, and you want to send a follow-up text asking them for a review, Levi, I think we set this up like a bazillion years ago. So you send the text message asking them for the review. If it's less than a 3, you do not send them to Google. If it's a 4 or a 5, send them to Google. Please post your review, right? Because you don't want the 3s and the 2s and the 1s to end up on Google. You have the ability then to be alerted and go, oh my gosh, this guy gave us a 2. I better reach out to him and find out what happened. Okay, so that's a way to manage that expectation or manage that experience for them without worrying about them going straight to Google and giving you a 1-star review, because nothing is more frustrating than that when you're trying to get your reviews up and then you get one. I don't even know how that algorithm works, because you could have like 5,000 5-star reviews and you get 1 and it drops you down to like a 4.5 and you're like, what? Like, okay, fine. So making sure that you're mitigating that piece of it is important. Okay, this one is also brilliant. Let me see if there we go. SMS messaging that is scheduled around commute hours. Brilliant. They're already in their car. And you know they're texting and driving, or they got it up on the little thing and they can see their phone, right? So like, or it pops up on the screen for the fancy cars. My Jeep's not fancy. But SMS during commute hours, like, hey, like, we're on your way home. Why don't you just stop in and get your car washed on your way home? And you're like, oh, you're right. Thank you for the reminder. I definitely need to wash my car. Okay? All right, your next one, loyalty. Once you've gone through all these different rungs of the ladder and you get all of these relationships built, you've got these videos going on, you've got all your different campaigns set up in WashHub, every different trigger, every different action that your customers take can actually become a piece of the experience that helps them remember. Right? So we talked about they remember emotions, they remember feelings, they remember novelty and surprise. So setting up your loyalty program. I know I've talked to a couple people in the room today. You keep talking about, oh, I need to do a loyalty program, I need to do this, I need to do that. Now is the time to write that down on the list, and then when you download your customer journey mapping blueprint, you're gonna add that in, right? Because that's an important piece of it. People love to be rewarded, okay? So frequency. right? The more they come in, the more they get rewarded. There's actually research, and some of you know me, some of you don't, but I spent 20 years in health and fitness before I came into the car wash industry. And the statistic for the gym, I don't know what it is for the car wash, we have to figure that out, was 2.5 times a week. If you can get your members to come in 2.5 times per week at the gym, you're likely to keep them like 3 to 5 years longer. Okay, at the car wash, I'm not sure we want them coming in 2.5 times a week because now we're no longer paying for our car wash, but maybe once a week or twice a month, right? So we need to figure out that data, right? Let's make a data-driven decision about how we want that to look. And then we're going to train our customers to come to the wash that many times in a month, right? Is it 2? Is it 3? I'm not really sure. But that's a piece of data that we need to look into for your specific market and then set that up. Okay? All right, so there's a thing in marketing called a love mark. And I know that sounds really weird, but I'm explaining what it is, okay? It's a love mark. And what it is an emotional connection to a brand, okay? So for me, my grandfather spent his entire life in upstate New York, in Albany. And when I was a kid, we lived up there. And every Saturday, without fail, he would take us to Dunkin' Donuts and get us the Dunker, which I don't even think they make anymore. It's a bummer. But it was like a donut with a handle, right? And it was so you could dunk it in your coffee. He wasn't giving me coffee because I, to this day, don't need any additional caffeine. But at that time, I definitely didn't need any caffeine. So he would give us milk, me and my sister, and we would dunk our Dunker in the milk, right? So every time I see the Dunkin' Donuts logo, I just smile. Like, it makes me smile. That's a love mark, okay? Now, there's probably something also called a hate mark. We're not going to talk about that today, but, like, you probably have a brand like that too, right? So your goal in all of this is to build a love mark, right? You want people to see your brand and smile, okay? So I'm going to give you a quick story. I told you I was in health and fitness for 20 years. So I was with the YMCA for a really long time, running all their health and wellness programs. The YMCA is a global organization. It's all over the world. And we rebranded in 2011. And the reason we rebranded was because doing our research on the marketing side, we discovered that the YMCA had 450 different iterations of its logo. Think about that for a second. Now think about your brand. Think about if your car wash had 450 different logos. Is anybody going to recognize it? Like, especially those of you that have a network wash, right? Like you have 8, 10, 20, 30, 100, however many washes. Like, they're not going to recognize it because there's all these different iterations. So at the Y, we ended up with 5. It was the exact same logo, 5 different colors. Perfect, right? Now, globally, all over the world, the YMCA has the exact same logo. We have 5 different color choices we can choose from, and that's it. And then black and white, so I guess 7 if you count that, right? And now people recognize it, okay? And that's an important piece of that love mark, right? So now I smile when I see the Y logo. I love the Y. It's great, right? But think about that, intentionally designing all the different touch points. We talked about touch points. Everything is an opportunity, including your logo, your colors, your voice, your fonts, all of it, okay? Creating that love mark is what makes people come back, all right? Now, there are different ways to do that. It's not just branding, right? A love mark can also be the experience, right? Like for me, Dunkin' Donuts, it's not because the logo's cute. Yes, I love orange, but like it's not that. It's the connection, the emotional connection I have to it because of my granddad, okay? So there's got to be something in your brand, some sort of unique piece of your customer experience that starts to build that for people. Barrett, I have a membership to Lynx. Thank you, sir. I love that place. So I go to Lynx because it's right by my house. And I did knock the gate down with my monster truck. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I did. It was bad. So I go to Lynx, right? And there's a guy there named Gary, this sweet man. This is his retirement job. He's like, this is my fun job. I'm like, great. And every time I pull up, like the first time I pulled in, okay, this truck is like jacked up, right? I have this monster truck in addition to the Jeep. And I couldn't reach the kiosk, and they have it set up where it asks you to upgrade every time you come in as a member, right? And so you have to like touch the screen to say no thank you. And I can never reach it because I'm like way up here and it's like way down there. It's a whole mess. So Gary comes running out every time he sees me, and he's like, I got it, don't touch anything. Because last time I was there, I knocked the gate down. So making sure that these types of things are like the things that are happening at your wash. Like Gary is like the light of my day every time I go in there, Barrett. He's amazing. Like he's super smiley and he's like, how you doing? And why do you drive this big old truck? And you're this little tiny girl. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I just love him. Like every time I go in there. And I'm the terrible customer that goes 2 or 3 times a week. So I apologize. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. But like, I love going there because Gary is like the love mark for me for Lynx. Like if he ever leaves, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be honest, or I'm going to be honest. But going there every time, like what are your staff doing to make people feel comfortable, right? Like are they creepy? Are they hiding in the office? Like my previous world, like there were people hiding in the office like when it was cold outside, right? I'm like, no, like we got to go outside. We got to talk to the customers. Like put your little hand warmers in your gloves. Let's go, right? So how are they interacting? Are they waving and smiling at the pay station? Is your loader smiling and making eye contact? There's a lot of people that are afraid of the car wash, right? And they're like this white-knuckled going into the tunnel and your loader's like, I had a girl the other day. I will not name the wash. I was not in Tampa, so I was not cheating on Lynx. He's like doing this on a phone. And I'm like, the rims on this truck are real expensive. Like, right, like, I need you to pay attention to where you're putting my rims, sir. Like, please put your phone down. Like, right? So I'll never go back. I won't tell you where I was, but I will never go back because he had zero respect for me, my time, my rims, specifically my rims. Very upset about this, okay? So what are your staff doing? What's your training program look like? Because that's gonna create part of this, right? We talked about rewards and recognition. We talked about the frequency driving incentives. You gotta figure out what that frequency number is and then incentivize your members to come that many times. Okay? Last but not least, measuring lifetime value. So I know we talk a lot about average ticket size every time we come on site, right? Or what's my average ticket size at this site versus that site or whatever. But we also got to think about the lifetime value of the member. Okay? Like I'm not your biggest ticket value person, but I'll never leave, right? Like as long as Gary's there, I'm not leaving. Like it's a great wash, right? So you got to think about those pieces as well. So here's some other ways that you can look at that. I like to look at the monthly visit, goals with unlockable perks. So if you have a loyalty program, specifically if they can see it like in an app or in your online portal, if they see like, oh, I only need to go like one more time to unlock this reward or whatever that is, right? If they can see that there's a goal, especially the competitive ones in the room, right? You have competitive customers too. And if they see that there's a goal, I have one with I won't even mention it, but I have it in an app and it's like, okay, if you buy one more bottle of wine, you get, it's going to unlock a $50 reward, right? And I'm like, oh my God, one more bottle of wine, great. Okay, so you got to give them incentives to continue to be loyal to your brand, okay? There's also a lot of people, it was Don mentioned this, if you remember. He said, I have so many credits at the whatever massage place he used, Massage Envy or whatever. He was like, I will never cancel the membership because I will lose the 200 credits. And I was like, that's insanity. Like, when was the last time you went there? He's like, I don't know, 6 months ago. And I'm like, so you're just going to keep paying for the membership? He's like, I have 200 credits. I don't want to lose it. I'm like, okay, right? So people are crazy about stuff like that. So use it, right? It's all psychology, okay? All right, again, not gonna read it to you, but a lot of different ways, these are all in your document that you're gonna be able to download, a lot of different ways to really think through what you want that customer journey to be, okay? Think through what the different touch points are, what you want the experience to be, all that kind of stuff. All right? Okay, so how Micrologic enables that journey. So we've talked a lot about the different technology. We've talked about how we create the journey, or how we map the journey and create the experiences. Now you have to know how your specific technology can do that, right? So Wash Assist obviously is the thing that is orchestrating the intuitive, upsells on the kiosk and like all those sorts of things. The LPR recognizing and saying, welcome, Sarah. Welcome back. We missed you, things like that. Wash Hub, for those of you that don't know, that is our marketing automation platform that Miguel was showing earlier where you set up the triggers, all that kind of stuff. I highly recommend you set up as many different campaigns as you can possibly think of on your journey mapping. Okay, so as you go through the journey mapping process, be creative, think outside the box. At what points during the customer journey should people receive a video from you, a text message, an email? We used to send them out to say, hey, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn. in, right? So it helped grow like the engagement or grow the awareness of the brand. And then we would tell people, we would send people like a specific post, like for a customer experience event or something we were doing. We would say, share this in exchange, share this on your social media page, and we're giving away a $500 gift card or whatever. And it was like a raffle kind of thing. So just think outside the box, like all the different ways, and then look at yourself. Like, what are the things as a consumer that drive you? And then create that in your wash for your customers, right? Like think about what's really important to you and then recreate that experience for your customers, okay? And you can do that all through Wash Hub. Unified data, obviously that's a huge thing. So when you get to the point where you have everything from your maintenance module to your staffing to your marketing, everything running inside that one platform, your ability to extrapolate data from it and use it to make intelligent decisions is you're going to 10x it, okay? Like you're going to far exceed what you thought you were capable of once you have all that data at your fingertips. Okay, so I highly recommend making sure that all of your different pieces, you start to really work through them, go through that journey mapping process, and then use the data that it gives you. Okay? All right, so we're gonna take it all the way through the entire journey. Okay, and we're still using Sarah. Sarah's tired at this point, but we're going to keep using her. So she sees a targeted Facebook app, or a Facebook ad, right, for an unlimited plan. She clicks through to the landing page. All that you can do in Wash Hub. Well, we don't run digital ads, but you know what I'm saying. Connect your digital ads to Wash Hub. Then it'll send her a landing page to put in her information, all that stuff. So when she arrives on site, so somewhere in this process, she had a pre-registration form. So maybe she put in her name, phone, or an email, she got her wash code, she got her little video, and then maybe at some point in those text messages or emails it said, hey, to save time at the site, go ahead and punch in your license plate and whatever other information you want from her, right? So then she gets there, LPR recognizes her, and she goes straight into the express entry lane, right? Because now she's a member. Right? So she has chosen this unlimited wash plan, right? Oh, wait, no, she does that next. So she goes into the express lane, then she is prompted with the first time member discount at the POS, okay? And you're like, okay, I'm gonna convert to a monthly plan, like this is too good to be true. I'm gonna go ahead and buy this. They're Buckeyes fans, it's great. This is all great, right? Then she receives her welcome email with the downloadable link for the app. Okay, this is a welcome email I was talking about. Top 3 things to do with your membership, top 5 things, whatever. Send your friends, download our app, follow us on social media, like all the things that you should have your people do, just send it to them right out of the gate. And then send it again like 10 days later. Reminder, right? And then from there, if you look, 30 days later, what are we doing now? We're building value. Okay, you've come to the wash this many times. It would have cost you this much if you were paying for a single wash every time. You saved $47 this month. That's a no-brainer. Like, why would I ever cancel this membership? I saved $47, right? So that's how you start to build that real value in your brand. And people are like, okay, I have 200 credits. Like, I'm never canceling this, right? I saved $47. I would have paid 20 bucks every time I went, okay? All right, so after you map out the journey, you're going to measure it, right? And these are just some recommended areas or KPIs to measure. Everybody's different in terms of what you actually measure at your wash or what your KPIs are. But these are some of the really important ones that I've found helpful in my time, both at the gym and at the car wash, okay? So your conversion rate, your visit frequency, your retention rate, lifetime value, all those things. Whatever those numbers are for you, you're gonna set up a dashboard or a metric or a way to track them. Now, obviously, Wash Assist can do that for you, but you also need to talk about it with your teams, okay? So we're gonna sit down and map the journey, then we're gonna create those intentional touch points along the way to create that customer experience, and then we're going to measure it, because if you don't measure it, you're never gonna do it, right? And your team doesn't know that it exists. Like, if my team didn't know that we had sales goals, they would never sell anything, right? So you gotta talk about the goals with your team so they know what to do. All right, so here's your QR code to download your journey map. If you guys will also get it, I will also send, I don't know if you can see it or not. I will also send it to you via email, but go ahead and download your journey map. And the thought process is you're gonna take this back with your teams, with everyone who would be involved in designing those touch points. right? So you're gonna get the marketing team involved, you're gonna get your operations team involved, probably your IT guys, your tech guys, all that, well, or girls, sorry ladies. All of those people involved in this process of mapping out what that journey is gonna look like, okay? All right, so in a nutshell, this is what's on that PDF that you just downloaded, okay? So the first thing you gotta do, and Miguel said it earlier, how do you know what success is if you don't measure the before? Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is map the current journey. Like, what is the current journey, okay? When was the last time, you guys probably do it frequently, but when was the last time you intentionally drove through the entire site and looked for the exact things that you're looking for? You know, check your signage, check your kiosks, check the offers that are on the kiosks. What do the walls inside the tunnel look like? When was the last time we cleaned those guys, right? Go through the entire journey. What does your social media look like? What does your website look like? What does your Google profile look like? If you pull up your business on Google and click the call button, does it call your business, right? That's where we have to start, okay? Because we're never gonna be able to map a new one if we don't know where we are right now, okay? Identifying friction points and drop-offs. So I'm gonna say this, and people get irritated with me when I say this, but don't start with awareness, okay? We all could use more traffic on our sites, that's obvious, but don't start there. Look at your current journey and figure out where people are dropping off. Figure out where there's friction or where they don't convert or where they don't move through that journey. Where people start falling off, that's where you start. We'll worry about awareness later, okay? But if you start with awareness, you'll never get past it. Okay, so map the whole thing, look for the drop-off, and don't start with awareness. Start with a different drop-off. Okay? From there, you're gonna design the intentional touch points to fix the drop-off. Okay, so there's friction points, there's drop-offs, there's places where people fall out of the sieve, right, out of the bucket. You're gonna design intentional touch points for those pieces. Okay? And then you're gonna implement, and then you're gonna measure, and then you're gonna do it again. Right? Okay, now we've fixed this hole, now where's the next hole? And then we're gonna design intentional touch points for that hole, and we're gonna implement, and we're gonna measure. Okay? So every time there's a drop-off, every time you go through this process, you're gonna find a new drop-off and you're gonna design intentional ways for that customer experience to be different. Okay? After that, implementing the technology, you guys already, well, maybe you know there is technology available for all these different things. We just have to help educate you if it's not your thing, if tech isn't your thing, and you need help with that, that's fine, we can help. Okay, so don't let all of this technology and all of the things, this whole process bog you down, because this will be the game changer in your business, okay? Take the few hours that it's gonna take to sit down with your team and go through it, and then figure out what technology you need, and then start asking the questions. Can we do this? Can we do that? How do we do this? How do we do that? Right? Figure those pieces out. And then you're gonna measure and you're gonna keep optimizing. Like I said, every single time there's a drop off, you're gonna find a way to fix it, you're gonna implement, you're gonna wait 30 to 60 days, you're gonna measure that implementation, and then you're gonna move to the next one, okay? It's a constant journey for us as well, all right? Okay, so at the end of the day, experience is the new competitive advantage. Okay? And we used to say this all the time in one of my wash companies. We always said we wanted to be the Chick-fil-A of the car wash industry, right? We want everyone to show up and be happy. There's a lot of people that love Chick-fil-A, except for that whole Sunday thing. But they show up and they're happy to be there, right? Harry T used to tell us that all the time. He came from Tire and Automotive and he was like, nobody's ever happy to get new tires. It's expensive. But they're very happy to come to the car wash. I'm like, oh, that's a great point, right? So use that, right? Create an experience that they can't forget. And then you don't have to worry about the churn so much, right? Obviously, turn on your credit card updater. That's a given. That's a technology that we can use. But at the end of the day, you're trying to build that love mark, and you're trying to make sure that they always come back, okay? You want to be the Chick-fil-A. Everybody wants to be Chick-fil-A, right? Or Publix, or whoever your love mark is, right? All right, loves, that is all I have for you. So hopefully you learned a lot and you have a nice journey map that you can download and use with your teams. We are going to take about a 15-minute break and then we're gonna move into our panels. So I'm gonna need Harry T, Brendan Johnson, Jerry, and who's my other one? Dan. Thank you, Dan. So if you guys will just meet me up here on the side of the stage in about 5 or 10 minutes and then we will move into the panel. Thank you, guys.